Friends and professionals, welcome to the first episode of Season 5, 2023 Modern Lending Podcast. I'm your host, Alec Hansen, but you know that because we're on social and you see my stupid name above the thing. Anyway, great season packed up for you today. We're kicking it off with Jamie Tyndall. I've got, let me just give you the heart of the season. Okay, I'm thinking really hard about what do we want to lean into in 2023. And for me, it always comes back to what can I do today? Yes, we can talk motivation. Yes, we can talk how to set up your camera and all that fun stuff and all the social things we need to do. But really, my priority for this season is what do we, loan officers, mortgage professionals, need to do right now today to drive volume and improve relationships, period. Super tactical, in the dirt. That's what the season's going to be about. So every guest is designed to come in and teach you something you can use today to go out and be better in originations. That's the game. So let's bring on Jamie Tyndall and have a great show. All right, Jamie, welcome. Thank you for being the first guest of the season.
You're welcome. Yeah.
You're like, I didn't want to do this at all.
Yeah.
So, guys, I've known Jamie now for a few years. We've had a chance to work on some projects together. She's not a West Coast gal, so you got to give her a little, it's dark in her world out there in the East Coast. But you've been in the mortgage game a long time. And so we're not going to age anybody here because I've got no hair and I've been in it over 20 years myself. So that's that. But let's start with this. What got you into this space and what's kept you in the mortgage space? Because it's chaos and insanity.
Well, first, to address the age thing, I actually have a video that I'm going to be posting on this. I think because of this market, I am so proud to say I've been in this industry 25 years.
Hell yeah.
Does that mean I started when I was 7? Actually, no, it doesn't. It means I started when I was 17, maybe not.
Yes.
What got me in the business was I was buying a house, and this was 1998. No problem with the aging. I was determined that the mortgage guy was going to screw me.
Yes.
And I taught myself the business because I'm total geek, freak geek. And I was not working at the time. I was in between jobs. And he says to me, do you want to? And I was going to take a job trading gold.
Okay.
I was a former commodity trader. So then the new job was, trading gold. And he goes, would you instead want to be a mortgage banker or a broker at the time? And I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, so I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, and the county next to me is called Westchester County. And he goes, Westchester County will be your territory. Back then you had territories. Now you don't.
Yes.
And I'm like, where's Westchester? I've just moved to Greenwich. And he goes, oh, there's a mall there. And I'm like, oh, I've heard of that. So I say, yes, so I go skip the gold, the commodity trading. Let's completely blow it out. I'll get this area that I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. Although he says, you actually know all this stuff. You just don't know the acronyms.
Oh, yeah.
Which anyone in the mortgage business knows it's all acronyms.
It's all acronyms.
But you know all the stuff. He then had a woman, great mentor, Doreen Martinson from Wells Fargo, come in. She sat with me for a day going over the acronyms. And off I went to Westchester County to find loans.
So let's talk a little bit about the original days, because again, the season is on tactics, is on things loan officers can do. So let's start with some of the historical activities that kind of built your career and maintained kind of the foundation of your career. How would you unpack that? And let's start there.
Okay. So the foundation was, for me, knowledge over anything. Like I said, I'm a super geek. I have a bachelor of philosophy. So right away, I'm going to be a reader. And I want to get into the nitty gritty. That does not mean my client needs to get into the nitty gritty. If they want to, that's fine. But I want to make sure that I know what is going on with the process. So I was all about the process and learning the guidelines. And back then, and even now, we have 60 different lenders or whatever. Yeah. So, I know every single guideline. And if I'm like, this rings a bell or this sounds strange to me, I'm just going to look it up. It's no big deal. A lot of people don't do it in this day and age. And back then it was, paper, you had paper and you had all this. So the foundation was knowing guidelines. And then it was, you actually, as we all the OGs, remember, we went out with rate sheets. We had our little paper. Here's my rate sheet, literally had like printed or possibly handwritten on it, rates. And you went into realtor offices.
Mm-hmm.
You did have a cell phone. I think you might have still had beepers then, or
Well,
I'm not sure.
wait, before we get into beepers and cell phones and going into real estate offices, accumulating knowledge and becoming kind of what I would call like a true professional, like what did that look like on a regular basis? Were you just reading guidelines every morning? Like seriously, like what did you do?
So I started out reading guidelines because I didn't have clients and I'm like, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Then as just sort of fast forwarding a bit, as a certain client base developed,
Mm-hmm.
which my client base tends to be more jumbo loans,
Yep.
not conform, always has been because of the area I live in, I focused on being very effective in knowing the details and nuances of jumbo guidelines.
Yeah. So you just poured through guidelines until you felt like you had a mastery of it.
I mean, I used to be able to quote, I still can't. It's like, oh, this is guideline 835.11. And today, some of the guides are still, if you look at them, they're
I know.
836.07. That's where you'll find it. And people like, we have a system at Loan Depot called Yoda.
Yeah.
I'm the first Yoda.
I'm the original Yoda.
I'm the human Yoda. And
okay.
That's where I feel most comfortable. Not
okay.
everyone does.
So you armed yourself with knowledge, you got prepared, and then you went out, and John just put it in the comments here. You went out with the rate sheets to visit the agents. So let's I mean, this is I know you, so this is foundational. What was your strategy, and what is your strategy to go out and meet agents?
So my strategy then was, I'm going out, and back then you could walk in to any office.
Well, no, they had non-solicits up, didn't they?
No.
Okay, so you were charging in.
So I'm just walking in like, hi, yeah, there are no non-solicits. No, you can't come in here, Bob, Alec Hansen's here and he's our dude. Nope. You just walked in, you put your rate sheets in the box. Some had boxes, but you put them on their desk. Because let's remember, everyone worked from the office. That is the difference today, or then versus now. Everyone was in the office because the internet was it didn't exist. There wasn't an internet in terms of, there's not Zoom, there wasn't all this other stuff to communicate. So the way to faxing applications to people and all this, and using FedEx. So you went in and you built your relationships by, hi, here's my rate sheet. Then someone would ask you a question. You're like, please, someone speak to me. And not just be like, look up from the desk, like, what are these? Like, why are you here, lady? Someone would talk to you and somehow you would get a connection. Yep. So my first part of my business was rooted in Katona, New York, specifically a few realtors who were like, hey, she seems like she knows what she's doing. And they just helped me like blow up my business in that area.
So let me go back here for a second. I don't want to overlook this. So do you remember what it took to kind of break into some of those relationships with these people? Like, because it was similar to now.
Yeah. Of a consistency.
Yeah.
So you didn't just do a rate sheet like once a week. You might be there twice a week in their face. So it might be a rate sheet once a week, something else unknown. You were just stopping in to, I don't know why. You just stopping in, and then you'd stop in around lunchtime, and then you'd also say like, oh, does anyone want to grab lunch at the X, the diner nearby or whatever? And sometimes you'd grab some people and just take lunch. And back then, by the way, they didn't expect that you bought lunch. Everyone went Dutch. There's a new concept. You weren't always shelling out money. Today, it seems to work the other way. So it was just like getting to know people and friends. And it seemed that the markets that I was in, a lot of the realtors were female, and they seemed to resonate that I was a female who was working. And back then, and that was like 1998. Yes, there were a lot of people who were females who were working then, but oddly, there were a lot of people who they weren't doing it as a for me. And going to now, they know it's not a side hustle. This is a real gig. And this
Yes.
is a 24/7, you know, for
All
profit
day.
operation too. Yeah.
Yep.
And also and trying to help them. The whole thing is, guys, I'm trying to save you from wasting gas. It's still the same. From wasting gasoline, wasting your time, wasting energy, wasting your fax, your telephone bill, your whatever,
Yep.
of working with someone who's not even qualified. What's the point? There's no point. And then, the rate hustle was always,
Well,
it still is.
how did you get through the initial awkwardness of that relationship building stuff? Because Jamie, people still deal with that today. I mean, there's a lot of loan officers today, right now, that have to go out and make new relationships with agents because their existing agents aren't as, active or successful because of the market shift. So how did you get through that awkwardness, and how do you deal with it today?
A lot of it, I would love to say something brilliant, and I can't. It's blind luck. So, like I said, I mean, Alec, yeah, you wanted some brilliant story. Sorry. Like I said, in Katona, I happened to a woman, the realtor's name, Eileen, gave me a chance, and she also bought and sold a lot of properties. And she
Yeah.
was like one of the top realtors. And as soon as people knew that I was doing her loans and her clients' loans, I was trusted. So,
But there's something deeply important about that statement, Jamie. Like, relationships take time and they take intentionality and consistency. So you validated all that. Everyone knows that. And then as soon as you have those relationships, the power of them is unbelievable, because now it leveraged into other relationships, it was amazing, it sounds like.
the next ask goes to Eileen. Rita does a ton of business. She could give a hoot about me.
Mm-hmm.
Can we change that? And maybe Eileen would say, Rita doesn't give a hoot about me either. Maybe like, well, can we figure out something? So it would either be, can we please strategize because it helps my business?
Yep.
So I also pushed for, if someone said, well, they're not my best buddy either, I would say, well, can we figure it out and plot because it helps me? And they would help in some way. Sometimes it's like a no, but a lot of times people would say, yeah, let's try and help out. Or they would say, well, you know what? Here's someone else who can help you. And and then you just get that soft introduction. All I need is just that little soft introduction, and then leave it to me. And Alec, I understand how hard it is. And it's today.
Yep.
I do it now. It's a very different process. I'm still doing it now with some firms where my goals for, 2023 are, let me break into this office. Well, I'm going to be making those calls again. Like, hi, do you know me? And I'm like, I guess you know me after 25 years, but maybe you don't.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because now let's fast forward to kind of today or the last year, which has been really brutal. And I feel like every 10 to 12 years, mortgage professionals and the mortgage industry just reinvents itself. It just like rolls over, and like whatever you thought you were, you're not that anymore. And it's like, now go out and figure it out again, which is crazy that maniacs like us just stay in the game, getting hit in the face every 10 to 20 years, 15 years. But, what are you doing now? What's working for you now? What are some tactics and strategies that you're leveraging now?
Okay, so the rate sheet doesn't happen anymore because we don't believe in paper. So the tactics now, and it's twofold. One, the existing relationships, it's all about communication.
Yep.
So I determine how they want to be communicated via, do you want me to call? Some people have this strategy. Oh, I call all my realtors every Monday.
Yep.
My realtors actually don't necessarily want that.
Exactly.
So I understand. So they're like, I don't want to hear from you every Monday. I already know who you are.
Yes.
But I'm also like, but I don't want you to forget about me because Mary Sue is calling you every Monday. And now you think she's the new thing on the block.
Yep.
So there's a balance between that. So I will do what I've done. And Alec, you helped me so much with this last year, where I took your challenge of your 26-week Road to 100 Million course. There for 26 weeks, come hell or high water, the times that I called and cried to you, only one or two. Social media.
Yeah.
I made sure that Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, I connected with every single realtor who I do business with. So I not just that, but I looked at like a Sotheby's office, a Houlihan
Yes.
Lawrence, the Compass, whoever your real estate office, went through their lists, connected with all of them on all the social medias, all social media platforms, and then I'm posting. So in some fashion, wherever that they are looking, wherever
Yep.
they are, and we're all on all three, but who, where you pop up or where you are in the feed, what algorithm is going,
Yep.
I'm still there because it goes back to the theory of if you're not somehow in front of your face, a story is being created about you.
Yeah, it's the same story, right? Like if I'm not out the open houses, somebody else is there talking to my agents.
Yeah. Open houses, huge. I would like to say then and now, my career, and I love them, love them, love them. I do broker open houses. So in this area, the realtors host open houses,
Yep.
for just the realtors themselves to preview homes.
Yep.
My preference has always been, and this is the way I get the most clients, I'm there at Awesome House A. It might be a house that's where I live, a $20 million house. I'm not going to finance that house, but everyone wants to see that house.
Yep.
So guess what? In the old days, there used to be up to 200 people coming to you. In a 2-hour span, I would have, 200 people that I had rate information, something to talk about, something, and I hit almost all of them.
Yep.
Today, you might have about 50 people, but that is the greatest way. And when people are out of the office, I would advise people who are newer in the business, if you can hook up with a listing agent, not one who's going to send you clients, the listing agent, and say, I will host every open house that you do. The lower end ones, everyone needs a mortgage. So there you might get someone. The higher end ones, everyone wants to see the house. And everyone's coming. It's a win-win either way.
Okay.
The weekend thing, not so much for me. Well,
let's unpack the broker preview concept then, because I think that is a very core tactic to any mortgage banker's like arsenal. And in my opinion, it's mandatory. That's if you're going to be a mortgage professional, and this is a mandatory prospecting sales activity. So you've identified the networking capacity of it and the connection capacity of it. Was it hard for you? Okay, so how often do you go out? Like, let's talk weekly, monthly. How often are you out and at these things?
Ideally, since COVID, it's been a little weird.
Yep.
Pre-COVID, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
So if they're 4, I'd probably not every Tuesday, Thursday, but at least 4 times a month. There was somewhere that I was. Post-COVID, it's been a little slower where it's weird. Sometimes you're at beautiful homes and still no one's seeing them. So I still am going to go. So I'm ramping that up again and just outright saying again to realtors, guys, gals, I want to be at that open house.
Yep.
So if no one's there, then guess what? We're talking or we're texting, we're doing work on our laptops the whole time. And if there are a ton of people, awesome.
So John had a follow-up question that I think is relevant to this and the previous, topic, Jamie, which was, what kind of person were you before this that even allowed you to show up? What traits did you bring to the table versus what traits did you develop in your career? What do you think about that?
So I worked previously, I'm just like looking at the question there on the screen. So previously I lived in Chicago, and I worked on the Mercantile Exchange trading floor, which was a very male dominated field. And I was maybe one of 3 females in the trading pit that I was in. Intense. It was very aggressive, very intense. You stood all day. You, did not let anyone beat you. What I did have to adjust to was that in the very beginning of my career, people who still know me, it was still a feeling of probably overly aggressive. Like not angry, but
yeah.
Like, and it was also like post 80s into the 90s of overly aggressive and just like hammering, because that was the time and that's what you did. So the skill set that I had was that you were there to win and you were there to get the deal, make the deal, and that was it. And you didn't lose. I worked for Goldman Sachs. You didn't lose.
Did not.
You did not lose. And if you did lose, there was a problem. So what I like then is that like I had the philosophy degree. So then I was like, wait a minute. Now I actually really am honestly, I'm a really quiet person. If you put me with a book, yeah, I know. I'm shy. If you put me with a book reading, which like in the summer I tend to read 1 or 2 books a weekend, I just sit and read.
Hmm.
So again, the ultimate dork. So combining like reading and actually being interested in people, like, oh, you do this? I have no idea what that's about because I've always been in finance. I actually have no clue what X, Y, or Z is about. Led me to show up to the table. I think being interested in people
Ooh, I like that.
is what being interested in the realtor, being interested in what were they doing?
Yeah, I like that
Being,
a lot.
oh, I don't have a land loan and I can't do something for you, but tell me about your business.
You know what? I just want to sit on that point for a second because I feel like, and this resonated with me what you just said, because a lot of times it was the conquest. I want to get the deal. I want to win the relationship. I want to put my name up in lights. I want to get on the chairman's elite award. And I know there's some people like that in our industry, but your comment of actually be interested in the people around you, the realtors and customers, I think that's a superpower. I think that's like a hack. I think if people can focus on that, they'd win a lot more.
I have a lot of clients when they tell me what they do, I say, oh, like what, and I ask them like, oh, well, what does that mean you do every day? And then I actually have to say, oh, this has nothing to do with the mortgage. I was just curious myself.
So
It's
cool.
just as a human. And that's where, again, you have the connection when you're just suddenly talking to someone on the phone and you're laying out all these questions. Hi, tell me, you're like naked on the table. Hi, Julie told me to call you. And I'm suddenly like, what's your income? What's your this? And you're like, in 15 minutes, you're supposed to tell me your life story. Well, can we have some connection of some sort?
Exactly. Please.
Yeah. Versus just like, I just gave you all my financial information, are you going to hack my bank account or what? Like, no.
All right. I want to jump back to social. So, you did you intentionally went out and started connecting to past customers and realtors, filling your social community with those people. What did you notice when you did that?
I noticed it's really sort of cool that when I am in the community, not only my own community, community of social media friends, people say, I always see you.
Mm-hmm.
They always see me. I always see this.
Yeah.
And it's really, it really is sort of, it's cool when someone goes, oh my God, that was hilarious. Like usually I always say I'm authentically boring, the authentically boring educator, but then I'll have something that's just like, here I am filling my tire. That was my other night, doing something.
Hold on. I'm going to ask about that in a second, but
Oh,
yes, go on.
But yeah, then I'm trying to do more of that. I'm wading my way through the whole thing of like, how do I want to be perceived? Because that's also part of it is how do I want to be perceived? I personally don't want to be posting about restaurants. I'm not really into posting about my personal life per se, other than, there are things that happen that you're like, oh, this is great or whatever, but you don't need to know my whole thing. And that's something that people on social media think, I don't want to do it because I'm private.
Yes.
My job is not private. The mortgage world is not private. Educating people is not private. Randomly posting something, that's personal, like, oh my God, my yard is flooding because of whatever. You do that anyway, because that's fun. And that's what I've learned to feel very comfortable with in my space. I can be private and social at the same time. And educate, because that's really and educate and try and have a little fun with it. Like, guys, really, call me up or hit me up if you think this, just whatever.
Well, so yeah, let's unpack this whole thing. This is fun because this is really tactical, and it's very important. And you said it, and I don't want people to mishear it. The feedback that Jamie just shared was, I'm showing up in front of people all the time, and they're recognizing it, and they're making comments, and they're engaging with me on this, and they see me on these places. That is like the definition of marketing and prospecting. Like you're showing up, making an impression, making a connection. And so when you first turned the camera on, what was your whole how did you deal with that? Because for anyone that's listened to me for any time at all, I'm, a big video guy, and there's a lot of barriers to video. So how did you deal with that?
Okay, so at first, I didn't have, all the hacks with like my camera, my Yeti mic, my lighting, and all this.
Sure.
And I didn't know. And you know what? I didn't care. I did take longer to film stuff because you would want to film something for 30 seconds and 5 hours later, you were done. And now I'm at the point where I might do 1 or 2 takes. I mean, if I'm just like, way off topic or something crazy. But otherwise, you know what? If I wanted to say something and I think I said it good enough, people do not. If you do something in 15 seconds, they will probably engage for that whole time frame, maybe 10.
Yeah.
But when you're beyond 15 seconds, so I'm usually at a minute, people are trailing off anyway. I don't mean to discount myself, but but you have to realize that discount factor that if you said something crazy, you did whatever, move on, one and done, show up. You did, I had one time when the ring light fell on me. I mean, that was awesome. Like, it was like,
How about that?
like, let's just keep going there. The ring light just fell on me. Great. The whole thing, like, or whatever. And that's real life. So I don't know if that answered the question or not. That got a little off topic, but
well, here's where I'm leaning into, and this goes back to filling in your tire video. Like a lot of people initially in video game content, it's very formal, stiff, prescribed,
like
just robotic.
Like I feel yes, like initially, like I'd be like here, I'd be like setting up, and then I'd be like, oh God, hold on, and wait, is this necklace? Is it perfectly centered?
Yes. Exactly.
And now I'm like this. You know what, guys? It's late in the day. It's dark outside. I'm talking to Alec Hansen. I'm hoping some people are getting some good tips here. I hope that they're not scared to do video. I hope they just want to speak. You have something to say. If you are in the mortgage business and you know the business and you want to close loans and you like people, you have something to say.
Yeah.
There's something valuable. And for me, I want to be timeless. So if you talked to me 25 years ago and I helped you, here's where the age and the timeless, but it works together. I had the education information then. I still have it now. I have still stayed up to date. You don't call me and speak to me 20 years later and go, boy, she seems like she's totally out of it. Because you know how sometimes you run into people and you're like, well, they seem like they're completely like
they never kept improving. Yeah.
They didn't go on social. They're still using a facsimile. They're still got a flip phone. And you're like, oh my God. Or they're like, I really would prefer if we meet in person. I started over 10 years ago telling clients, you don't need to meet me in person. I'd say at least 10. I mean, I'm positive because I was ahead of the curve. When everyone said, what do you mean? I said, why am I going to take up your time? I'm in the suburbs. You're usually moving from the city. For you to come here and take up your time on a Saturday, we can do everything on the phone. Yep. Now we can also do Zoom or whatever you prefer. If you want to meet me, great. I meet probably two clients a year.
Yeah.
And this has been for over 10 years. So well ahead of COVID or anything. Yep. And people appreciate valuing time, keeping up with the timelessness, the education. And then maybe you said, Jamie, now I'm going to send my kid to you. We're in a different age bracket. I might not be as cool as them, but guess what? I'm going to make sure that their risk of buying the house is completely mitigated. So I might not be someone who's been in the business 2 years, but I don't know if you want to talk to that person. I'm not meaning to diss anyone but I'm just saying that maybe you have something that's more complex. Maybe you feel better talking to someone who has more time. Mm-hmm. Everyone can choose.
Well, so let's go back for 1 second because there's something that I want to pull out of this conversation that I think would be helpful for people out there, which was, what was the process for Jamie to go from, I kind of feel uncomfortable on video, I got to kind of make sure I'm buttoned up, to sitting down on the garage floor next to your car tire, filling it up and filming yourself talking about mortgage, stuff while filling up your car tire?
Yeah. So like there I was just giving, and I did call it inflation information.
So good.
I was really like, I'm so on. Like, I think I'm, Comedy Central is like calling Caroline is hiring me. And it was all about, tire pressure. And I was like, and by the way, if you actually stayed through this, maybe you want to like tune into some of my mortgage crap because I talk about that too. Maybe that'll get you. So I just realized over time, and you had a lot to do with it, of setting profiles of like public profiles
Mhm.
who could, on all the socials, you can set like what's public,
Mhm.
what's you can, and then opening them up and seeing that nothing bad is happening.
Mm.
Because I had some weird experiences early
True.
on
Yep.
that were like that made me very anxious about, again, like I said, what I thought not being private. But you can be private and still be social and then still just be like, you know what, this is hilarious. Like, I got to tell this because I don't know what. I was like, just like, it's a new year, new me. I mean, it was the end of the year, but this is a goal to have in educational, a little fun and education because mortgages are boring. And talking about, what are we supposed to say? Mortgages are fun again or making mortgages cool again? Yeah, they're not. But but so they're not, but you need one.
Yeah.
So sort of like you need a car, but I don't want to be your car salesman.
Yep.
So there's somewhere in between that, let's just hit it up. And I don't know, I just suddenly was like, I can do this. Like it was just like this. It's hard to explain that you just suddenly are like, wow, I'm not about getting noticed because you don't, the insights, maybe 11 people watched something, maybe 100 did. Who knows? You can see the insights. But my assistant and I have had the most awesome time tracking insights and who likes what and what ages, what demographics, where. And we use all of that to then tailor, like she's 30. So she'll say, why don't you talk about this? And I'm like, do you see my average demographic is this? Now on the social platforms, other than LinkedIn, those are my friends.
Yep.
So I am not going to cater to someone who's not already a friend. If I'm on YouTube, which Alec, you'll love this. We're going to start a whole YouTube thing this year. That will cater to a different series and group of people. It'll also go to my other social, but that would cater to a different demographic.
One of the things, Jamie, that I want to talk about for the next, few minutes is the core things that you believe make a great originator and what people need to do to become a great originator. And let me hit a couple that you've already shared for everyone to start with. Number one, the knowledge aspect. Be a true professional. Know your craft. Know your trade. Number two, you talked a lot about consistency because, showing up and being there builds relationships, etc. The third that I pulled out just now was the desire and intention to continue to be a constant learner. Social media is relatively new in our 20 years of lending. So, but you can't just ignore it. And so, getting on that path, et cetera. What else would you add to that list?
It is being very honest.
What do you mean?
You have to be honest with the client from the beginning. If the client wants to do something and they can't, you don't take them in and somehow convince them they can buy a home that they can't. And sometimes that is hard to give bad news, but you can structure it in a way that is not bad news, that they're still doing something, or, it's not about making a judgment. I'm not ever judging someone. It's just facts.
Yep.
These are facts and you've given me facts. So the honesty with the client, the honesty with the realtor. If something is going sideways, they need to know, they need to know before anyone. They need to know before I knew, Yeah. And I think that which it doesn't happen a lot. Things don't go sideways a lot, but I'm saying honesty about just, if I have a client who says, I really don't want to spend more than this, I'm going to also let that realtor know, please don't show them above this purchase price because they're going to be pissed and they're going to use someone else. Like they're that set on, if they found the ultra dream, but please, because there's always that upselling, downselling. It doesn't matter if you're worth $1 billion, but if you want to spend $2,000 a month, you're going to spend $2,000 a month. So I guess that honesty, That's word, I guess, the word that just came to mind
I
of,
like it.
and it's also being truthful with yourself about your time and value to the client.
Hmm.
There's no need to waste someone's time, including your own.
I love that. All right. This is where I want to go for kind of the wind down, and we'll take this as long as it needs to go. But this is where I want to get into some meat of what we're really diving into here. So let's unpack the most important sales, marketing, and prospecting activities that you believe for yourself for 2023, looking ahead, are the most important non-negotiable things that are going to build your business. Like, let's get into the tactics. What is it? What's a day or a week or a month of the life of Jamie look like in terms of what you're doing to get business?
Okay. Realtors. It's open houses, communicating with them on a very regular basis via, be it a social, a text, or whatever, to make sure that I am getting in front of my base, which a majority of my referrals come from realtors.
So just to pull back the onion a little bit more,
Mhm.
realtors that you're working with or that you have a relationship with, you're calling them every week, texting them every week, just checking in. What is it? What
I
specifically?
check in. It's probably every couple weeks.
Okay.
It's not every week. It might even be every month. It just depends on who's who,
That's right.
who has listings. Because again, who has because I can see when a listing comes up.
Well,
So
yeah.
there's also, it's saying on top of, oh, hi, Alec, I saw you have a listing. Are you doing an open house?
Yep.
When is our open house?
Yes.
When are we doing our open house? What do you mean you're not doing one? I think you should. Yes, this will benefit me.
Exactly.
You can get to a point of being a friend like that. Then also saying, because now there are offices or people I want to grow business with, of saying, who can you introduce me to that is new and is an upcomer? Because those people, as we're all aging out, you need to keep circling.
Yeah.
So who are the up and comers? Because I want to make sure that I know them when they sell one home a year, whether I do that mortgage or not. I want to make sure they know who I am.
Yep.
And then when they're selling 5 homes or 10 homes, I'm on their list. And that might take a year, might take 3 years, might take longer.
All right. So strategy number one is, depending on the relationship with the realtor and what their activity level is, weekly to monthly check-ins, open house support, all that fun stuff. Then strategy number two is you're leveraging those relationships to find new relationships. You're asking them, hey, introduce me. Who's the up and comer? So you got that kind of going on. What's your broker preview open house strategy?
Once I see the list of who has been there, and I try to, doesn't work out all the time, I try to then send an email that says, great seeing you at 123 Main Street yesterday.
Oh, the agent, yeah.
The agent, sorry.
Yep.
At the broker previews. That's my post. I don't know if that was the question. So at the broker open house, I'm just saying hello and making sure people know I'm alive and, didn't leave the business and all this jazz, where people, again, who it's funny, or they're always like, are you still at that place? Like, yeah, I've been here 16 years. I don't know where I went, but everyone has their own thing. But following up, and it's funny how you just connect. I mean, when in December, might have been in like October, November, I did a bunch of open houses. It was sort of like that final push.
Yep.
I ended up meeting 4 new realtors. One's just a friend who she's like, I'm a single female. She is, let's go out to dinner. She's newer in the business. Another one who is a friend who's now a realtor. I was like, hey, make sure, here are the tips and tricks. Let's go out to dinner again. You don't know who comes full circle in your life.
Can't understate the power of networking like that. It's unbelievable.
And it's so fun. And something that I don't dread open houses, but sometimes when you're like tired, you're like,
Sure.
It turns out fun when you're like, oh, wow, she's a realtor now. Awesome. And I know her. Doesn't mean she's going to send me business, but maybe it makes it a little easier that I can, say, do you want to have lunch? And how are you feeling about the business? You're new. What are your concerns? Learn about them a little more in their business side.
Yep.
Other topics?
I gotcha. What's your strategy for social media this year in 2023?
Going to be, so we saw that we, being Alyssa and myself, who my new managers, we posted we checked out our posts and we really started our like game plan in like May. And then there was on Instagram, we really started more in September. We started and we got all a little befuddled on some stuff.
Yep.
But we ended up seeing that we averaged posting like 270 posts, which would actually be, it was like 273 posts. And they're like, if you actually look at business days, it's almost like one a business day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
206 business days. Yeah.
Right. So we're like, okay, so we're going to try, our tactic is to make sure that we're posting every day, including weekends. We are going to change up the times that we're posting based on some analytics that we've been seeing recently. Throwing in Saturday posts, which I have not been doing.
Smart.
And I didn't think I needed to do, but for some reason my Saturday posts, and I'm talking like 7 a.m. As we keep joking, I guess everyone wakes up early. I do a 7 a.m. post and people are like, I'm like, all right, I don't know what everyone's doing at 7 a.m. But I mean, okay, we'll throw that up there. YouTube, I don't expect to suddenly be like an influencer on YouTube.
Sure.
or have whatever, but I would like to make longer format content
Good.
to really be educational, then snip up those videos and put shorter to drag you to that. So if people would like to know more, I tell every client there's a long answer and a short answer for everything. Which do you want? And you can get, some people are like granular, like I was getting the mortgage. I want the long answer for everything. Some want different, or like, I only have a minute. I don't want anything. So you can get granular with the videos. You can, with me. So I want to be able to pivot a little bit more on that activity to use the videos to also verbally tell clients when I'm speaking to them. You can go to this too for information, which I have not done yet. I'm just posting, like putting it out there, but I'm not asking my actual clients, hi, watch this. I'm friending them or saying, if you want to watch this, feel free. There's some stuff there. You might find it interesting.
Yep.
And it's funny. I'm like, why aren't I asking people to look at stuff?
That's right.
Well, it's sort of strange.
This kind of blends into this next question. And so it's a two-parter. The first is, what do you do to continue to connect your past customers and realtors to your social? Like, what's your best practice? And, part two of this, what's your strategy with past customers in 2023? How are you going to stay top of mind and be with, with them?
Fab question. So to connect, you're like, gee, thanks. I
try.
Yeah, I know. It's just season 5 and whoever. God, I'm so horrified. With clients to connect, again, I stalk on social media to find where they are. I mean, we will go so far as to say, we know they know whoever, because sometimes, LinkedIn is easy to find people because it's usually their business name. On Instagram, people have all sorts of handles.
Oh, yeah.
QRC12, what is that? Who knows what? We will find QRC12 because we go so far. Sounds like we totally stalk. Who is their friend? Who are they liking? I mean, the list is like, I found them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. But to stay connected, last year, this is the biggest ever. 37% of my business came from past clients or friends. And that number has usually been much lower. And I mean, I was like, I shocked and almost got a little panicky when I saw that. I just literally saw this the other week. I was like, what do you mean? But what it meant to me is that what I have been doing is what I'm going to continue to do. So we have a fabulous CRM, database management, and I use it heavily to do loan-iversary hellos, birthdays. Hi, you have a 10-year arm. It's resetting in 3 years. Maybe rates are high right now, but I don't know. Maybe now you have 3 kids who are going to college and you want to change it. I have no idea, but it's a way to connect. So we're finding all sorts of ways to connect on social with the past clients because the past clients know me.
Yep.
Presumably they liked me. And if we were connected on social there, so there might be something with them, their kid, their mother, their relative, their friend, their colleague. And we are asking for business aggressively.
So that's a great comment that people are going to miss. I'm asking for business aggressively. What does that mean? Give us your scripts. Give us your tactics.
That means it usually starts in an email that's just like, hey, it's your loan anniversary. Yeah. You've got a 2% rate and I don't think you want to refi to 7. Woohoo. You to bomb. But please remember that, and I joke, I'll make something funny because they know my personality. I say, reminder, I need to continue living in the lifestyle that I'm accustomed. Do you have a colleague? Because again, they've already know, so they aren't reading it like, what the hell? Or I'll do a video. And we alternate between, we have scripts at different periods of time. When we alternate between, do I do just a quick video or do I do an email? And they go out in like 2, 4, 6 year increments to stay in touch. And along with the campaigns that already go out from the Loan Depot CRM, it seems to really like all jive that somewhere along the line, someone reaches back out. It's like the octopus. Someone reaches back out. You've been going like this. And you're like, is there a tentacle on the octopus that suddenly someone got back in? Because you're like, anyone? You always wonder, you're like, hello, is anyone listening to me? I have no idea. So it's nice to see. So that's the tactic there is the video, the email. I'm not a really big phone call person. Phone call. That sounded old fashioned. Not a big call person. A lot of my clients are they're very busy.
Yep. I get it.
But I got to tell you, New Year's Eve, 2 different clients that I say clients for life, who I have done, over 20 years of business with, texted me, Happy New Year.
That's good.
You want to talk about a happy loaner? Random, random, hey, whatever. One was like, oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God, my baby's growing up, That's what you want. That's my goal.
So final question for you, Jamie. What do you think in this is good? We obviously came through a very hard back end of 2022 for the industry. 2023 is, going to be hard until things, change. What do you think is going to be one of the keys to a successful loan officer's career facing down what I would call a hard market in 2023?
You have to stop. It's almost stopping listening to the headline.
Yeah.
And I am actually, to some degree, not addressing the headline that's like everything is awful.
Yeah.
And you are addressing home buyers. If someone needs to buy a home, it's not someone who's going to refinance, okay? If you're addressing a home buyer, they have a need to buy a home.
Yeah.
So what's that need? Did you move? Do you need more space in your home? You just hate renting, is it I hate renting? I want to put nails in the wall and not be whatever for it. I want to blast my music. You have a reason. So I just don't focus on, I'm not immediately telling someone, oh, the rate is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Your rate's 6. Great. And then if they say, is that high? I'm like, relative to what? 2 years ago, but you weren't buying a home then. And by the way, if you want to refinance, that's how I've been in the business so long. Yeah. Average person refis every 4 years, as we know. Believe it or not. And they don't believe it, but they do.
Yes, they do.
So, like I said, I try and go in it's not the headline of news or the headline of what, or yeah, it is good that maybe home prices are coming off or new things that we can do that are OG techniques, buy downs, seller concessions from 20 years ago. They're back. And I have taught several realtors classes on this and they're astounded. They're like, wait, what?
100%.
And I'm like, that if you sell a home at 2 million versus 1.8 and you do a 2 million and a 2% concession, everyone wins mathematically. Trust me, I have done the math. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, so, just saying, here to help. But it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. And it's not always a win.
Right.
In my community, I was trying to look up some stats. I wrote it down somewhere. In November, there were like 30 homes that sold.
Right.
By the way, the majority of those in my town, over 50% will be cash.
Yeah.
So now you have 15 homes that sold. 15 homes, and how many realtors? And so your chance of getting one of the 15 is going to be slim.
I'm with you.
So you just got to roll with it and stay. It's not just about staying positive. It's the energy you emit out. And it's also about, I am not apologizing for the way someone reacts to positive information that I've given them. If I have literally given someone good, solid information and they are hearing something different because they're in some different space, I don't need to apologize for a rate or whatever, because this is going to be it. You're going to be in your home. You're actually going to be thanking me. No apologies. No apologies for a rate that you don't control. You're just moving people in the home. And that's
I love that mindset, Jamie. I think that's going to be really helpful for people as they look down this year and try to figure out who they want to become. Don't apologize and don't read into the headlines, and go make your own destiny is just a great message that I think everyone needs to hear. So I appreciate you. Thanks for spending almost an hour with me. Thanks for being the first guest on season 5. Lots of good stuff here. And I really, really appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you, and thank you for so many things. And it's a pleasure having the opportunity to speak to you and your followers.
Well, my friends out there, we'll be back
friends.
Every 2 weeks with another episode of season 5, getting tactical. Appreciate you all out there. Thanks for tuning into the Modeling Podcast, and we'll see you on the internet.